and the late Dr. Bhante Punaji for this continuing Sutta class. Is considered a new one, but it's very successful. So, brother and sister, please put the palm together and say sadhu and invite Bhante to give us a Dhamma sermon.
Thank you, brother. Good evening, everyone, my friends. Welcome back to the Monday Sutta study. Today is day 23 and the second day of our new Sutta, Sabbāsava Sutta. Second day. And today we will be looking at the first method. The first method of Sabbāsava Sutta's presentation about how to overcome our Āsavas, defilements. Before we get started, shall we respect? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhassa. All right. For those of you who were here last Monday, were able to understand and overview of the
recording in progress.
And we were trying to understand each method in simple words, but we did not go into further details. The reason is that we need to let every method, I would say 7 methods, to give some time here. Now, the first method, the dasana, we going to take 2 days, including today. So today and next Monday, because the first method is very important, and it is the starting place of our methods, any other methods about Āsavas, defilements. Before we jump onto the text, I wanted to ask you if you have any questions about the topic or the sutta, so we can address them and then go into the sutta. You can raise your hand, so I will see, and you can come forward and then ask me the question. Any question about the sutta's name and the context, probably the background? Was there anybody here who were absent last Monday? Probably some. Oh, that's quite a number. So I hope that you'll be able to catch up, rather than repeating everything, because each day is a precious day. So maybe I will take this approach. Āsava. Āsava means, what do you call the cause for avijja, isn't it? What is the cause of avijja? Now, we all talk about we are rooted in avijja, right? We never think about what is the cause of avijja. Avijja means ignorance about the Four Noble Truths, right? That is avijja. But what kind of ignorance is that? Is it because somebody has no idea of what it is, what they are all about? Or somebody has a knowledge but has not probably studied further about that? Maybe somebody has not fully understood the Four Noble Truths. What kind of ignorance is that? It is not the mere knowledge of the Four Noble Truths. It is the understanding of the Four Noble Truths along with the revision. This is a revision along with the Tiparivatta Dwadasakara. Okay? Tiparivatta Dwadasakara. This is where we understand that someone understands the Four Noble Truths in their entirety. So, if avijja is the root cause of us, how do we say that avijja is the root cause? How would we say avijja is our root cause? Where is it mentioned? In what concept did the Buddha talk about that avijja is the root cause? Anybody? It is not in the books. Huh? You have to think about. Where is it mentioned that avijja is the root of our everything, or the root cause? Paticca samuppada. Oh, you might now think about avijja paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnana, vijnana paccaya namarupan, namarupa paccaya salayatana, salayatana paccaya passu, passa paccaya vedana, vedana paccaya tanha, tanha paccaya upadana, upadana paccaya bhavu, bhava paccaya jati, jati paccaya jara marana, soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa sambhavanti. Right? In that Patisamuppada, the first cause is avijja. Then somebody might question, what does avijja come? How does avijja come from? Isn't there a cause for avijja? Yes, there is a cause. What is it? What is the cause for avijja? Avijja, ignorance, cannot be a random thing. Avijja has to come because of a reason. What is it? Āsava, Sabbāsava, right? Āsava. Because of Āsavas, there comes avijja. Interesting, huh? Very interesting. Avijja arises because of Āsava. Now we have to speed up our spiritual journey because it is about Āsavas. All these issues are coming up. So without knowing Āsavas, we cannot understand what avijja is, what sankhara is, what salayatana is, what vijnana, namarupa, etc., etc. So our root cause of sansaric life is Āsava. Āsava means influxes. Influxes. Now, it is said that Āsava and avijja, now avijja is the starting point of the Patisamuppada. Avijja, or I would say Āsava and avijja are mutually constructive. What does it mean? Because of Āsavas, it creates avijja. Because of avijja, it also creates Āsava. So they are mutually dependent upon. Right? Āsavas and avijja, they are mutually dependent. This is given in the Abhidhamma, actually, in the last book. What is the last book of Abhidhamma? Anybody? What is the last book of Theravada Abhidhamma? Patthana Pakara. Patthana. In this Patthana, the Buddha talks about on one side Patisamuppada, on the other hand, Buddha talks about the conditionality. Everything is conditioned, nothing is unconditioned. The only thing that is unconditioned is Nibbana. So, in that analysis, Buddha says that even in the Samyutta Nikaya, he says that avijja and Āsava, they are mutually dependent upon. So you cannot say this is the first cause. Now, there is a problem. You can't say avijja is the first cause because it is mutually dependent on the Āsavas. So it could be Āsava, it could be avijja. Right? Now, if it is Āsava, then the next thing could be definitely avijja. If it is avijja, then there is Āsavas too. Right? So this is something that we have to understand before we, explore more about this sutta, even the first method. All right. Sabbāsava Sutta talks about 3 āsavas, not 4 āsavas: Kama, Bhava, Avijja. What happened to the Ditti part? Ditti, Kama means sensuality, Bhava means existence, Avijja means ignorance. That means anything arising from the ignorance, anything arising from the sensuality, anything arising from the Kama, Bhava, Avijja. 3, yeah? These 3 are the main asavas. Then what happened to the 4th one? Now you talk about 4 asavas. It is not given in the Sutta Pitaka. Where is it given? It is given in the Abhidhamma Pitaka. Ditti as a asava. It is not given in the Sutta Pitaka. So we primarily talk about 3 asavas in the Sabbāsava Sutta. Now, just to spice up the conversation here, discussion here, why should we learn asavas? Why? Why is it important? I mean, why is it important to learn asavas? Because it is the starting point of our defilements. Should we bother about our negative mental states? Should we? We bother. We mind about those negativities. So we want to do something for them, right? So if we really want to do something for our negative mental states, be that greed, sensuality, unnecessary sensuality, hatred, jealousy, irritation, so whatever negative mental states, then the first thing that we all need to study is Āsavas, because Āsavas are the starting point or bedrock of all these negative mental states. Suppose now we have Āsavas. Definitely we have Āsavas. We have Kama, Bhava, Avijja. Sensual Āsavas, Kama Āsava, Bhava Āsava means existence Āsavas, then Avijja Āsava means ignorance-based Āsavas. Now, can we find some examples for these 3? Kama Āsavas. What are they? Anything or any sensual, perspective which we have taken with the perspective of greed. So you are bringing lots of greed to the Kama. Now, Kama, there's good Kama too, Dhamma Kama and all that, but you are bringing greed to the Kama. Those Kamas are going to really bother you, right? Those Kamas are going to really give you a hard time, big time. So when you bring greed towards the Kama, then things are going to give you a very struggling situation. So then Kama Āsava means whatever the such greedy, sensual mental states that you are going to go through in your life. So they are we call as Kama Āsava, sensual influxes. Then Bhava Āsava, existence-based Āsavas. What is that? Whatever you do with a perspective, with a plan of next life, they are going to create Āsavas because of the next life. Can you give me an example? What is a good example for Bhava Āsava? There is someone who is wishing that may I be this kind of a person in next life. May I be this one, that one, right? Always thinking about that future life, that future person. That is an Āsava based on the next life, Bhava Āsava, right? So you are creating a Bhava Āsava. The greed toward that is Bhava Tanha, like Kama Tanha, Bhava Tanha. It's about Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta's exegesis. So here, anything that you are planning to be in the next life is called as Bhava Āsava. Then Avijja Āsava, you are creating Kama Āsava and Bhava Āsava because of Avijja Āsava. Because you don't have a particular good understanding, good what you call awareness about the Four Noble Truths. That is why you are going to create karma and bhava asava. So they are pretty connected each other. All right, let's get into the text now, so you will understand more. So please look at two texts today. One is the translation and the text. The other one is the notes. You have to look at the both sections. At the moment, you can see the text. All right, so it's here, page number 2, Dasana Pahata. Maybe I'm going to do something like this. All right. What is Dasana? The first method. Dasana means seeing. We are going to overcome whatever the karma asavas, whatever the bhava asavas, whatever the avijja asavas by looking at that particular defilement, looking at that particular negative mental state. Can you do it? Can you just imagine whether you can do it or not? Now, so far, whenever you are going to be bad to somebody, mean to somebody, you may get to know that. Of course, I understand that it is bad to be bad to be mean to somebody. It's not good to be mean to somebody. But maybe you were mean. Why is it? It is because that the knowledge of, or maybe what do you call, a mere knowledge of the akusala, mere knowledge of the negative things is not enough. Then what else do we need? We need to have two tools, two gadgets. One is the knowledge. Of course, we all have, more or less. Second is being able to see that negative thing at the time. Is it an easy thing? Now, when you're going to be into akusala, do you think you are able to see that at that time, at that particular time, that, okay, I think I'm coming up with akusalas and this is not good and I have to, this kind of mentality. Do you think it is a very easy thing that you can do? It is a challenge to many people. That is why the Buddha says a mere knowledge of Dhamma is not enough. To be a person who can handle your own good emotions, bad, good emotions, you also need an ability to see them at the time. Let's say you are coming up with ill will. You want to attack somebody. You feel hurt because somebody did something to you. So you want to give it back. Evil people might think, I want to hit back. So the moment that you are becoming so, you should be able to see, now this is ill. This is, we call it vyapada. I should not let it grow. I have to let it go. Not let it go, but let it, not let it grow, but let it go. I should not tolerate it. I have to leave it where it is, or where it belongs to. So you are trying to see your negative mentality at the time, right? So do you need a very, very complicated meditation for this? In order for you to see your mental states, how they are working, how they are processing. Do you think you need a very big, complicated, a day-long meditation or something like that? I don't think you need that. You may go for it. It's good. It's good to have a time off and then to listen to more stuff. But in order for you to see what is happening within your mindset, you need to have one important thing. What is it? One very important Dhamma thing. That is the starting point of your Noble Eightfold Path practice too. This is what we are going to learn today. What is it? One simple Dhamma practice. We call it Yoniso Manasikara. Yoniso Manasikara. What is that? How many of you know that Pali word? All of you know that Pali word? Yoniso Manasikara. We translate this in different ways, but we could say wise attention. We have different attentions, but this is called wise attention. If you have wise attention, you can see your nature of your mental states at the time. That means wise attention is very important. Without wise attention, you may not be able to practice anything. Now you will understand how important it is, wise attention for the first method. Dasana means seeing. Katamecha bhikkhave asava dasana pahatava. How can we overcome asavas by seeing them at the time? Ita bhikkhave. These words are important. Asutava putujjano. Putujjano. Asutava. Putujjano means, who is a putujjano, folks? Putujjano. This Pali word. Putujjano. Who is a putujjano? Run of the mill person. Very complicated translations. Probably it is more complicated than the Pali word. Let's not look at it. This is the important thing. I'm trying to look at English translation. Run. What is it again? People never heard about it. All right. Run of the mill person. Right? Is this Putujjano? Putujjano means unenlightened person. Very easy. Unenlightened person. When you say unenlightened, someone who has not even become a Sotapan. Pretty easy. So we don't need to complicate it. Right? Someone who hasn't even attained Sotapan. The literal translation is someone who changes everything. Putu jana. Jana means community. Putu means changing person. Are we changing everything in our life? Yes, we always try to change whatever we eat, whatever we do. Enlightened people don't do that. They are pretty strong on what they are doing. Then asutava. Asutava. This Pali word. Sutava means Sutava and Asutava. This one. Uninstructed. All right. But basic meaning Sutava means someone who knows Dhamma. Is Sutava. Asutava means someone who does not know the Dhamma. So how do you know Dhamma? Just by reading a book? How do you primarily learn Dhamma? Is it by reading a book? Is it by listening to a Dhamma talk? Here it means, Sutava means hearing from a person. Hearing from a person. Exactly from a person who knows the Dhamma. So, Asutava means someone who has not heard Dhamma properly. Right? Now, the reference is from a true Dhamma speaker. In one of the suttas in the Samyutta Nikaya, Buddha says that there are two problems for many people to practice the first path factor, the Noble Eightfold Path. What is the first path factor in the Noble Eightfold Path? Samma Ditti. Why many people cannot practice Samma Ditti? It is because of two reasons. First reason is listening to the untrue Dhamma. Listening to the Dhamma that is not Dhamma. But it is Dhamma, supposed to be Dhamma, but it's not the true Dhamma. Whatever their opinions have been taken as a Dhamma. Second is Ayoniso Manasikara. The same thing what we're going to study. There is no wise attention. If you don't have an exposure to the true Dhamma, if you don't have Yoniso Manasikara, which means you have Ayoniso Manasikara, you will never practice or start practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. That means this is so much connected to the previous sutta study. What is it? Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. See, that means you must have learned, you must have heard the true Dhamma. At the same time, you must have practiced, you must have been practicing wise attention. What is wise attention? Before we jump into that, wise attention. Yoniso Manasikara. Let's write it here. Yoniso Manasikara. Yoniso. Yoniso. What is Manasikara? Manasikara means attention, right? Attention. Yoniso, from the origin. That means tracing down to the origin of something. So when you are going to understand anything, but you are not going to the roots, you are not going to the origins of that particular problem, idea, concept, that means you are having unwise attention, not wise attention. That is why the Buddha said in this part, Dasana part, why a lot of people have Kamāsava, why a lot of people have Bhavāsava, why a lot of people have Avijjāsava, because they are going to see everything away from that thing's origins, that thing's roots. Right? If they are looking at everything down to the, tracing down to the origin, tracing down to the roots of that particular phenomenon, they may not form any Kamāsava, they may not form any Avijjāsava, they may not form any Bhavāsava. That means we are struggling in our spiritual life because of the inadequate practice of the Yoniso Manasikara. Keep in mind, before you practice any meditation, Ditti, Sankappa, Vacha, Kammanta, Ajiva, Vayama, Sati Samadhi, you must practice Yoniso Manasikara on a daily basis. If not, you will never practice even Samadhi. Yoniso Manasikara means tracing down to the roots of that phenomenon. Now let's say that you have lots of anger about somebody. One very simple example. You always take that anger from a subjective point of view. You're always thinking that, okay, that person told me something really bad. That person did something really mean to me a couple of years back. This subjective memory is what keeps you thinking that I have to be mean to this person. I have to do this longer. But you never know. People get changed. Maybe people make mistakes. Maybe this is not good for you. I have to go for an objective understanding about what happened with this person. So every moment you are creating the similar anger, same anger every day, every moment, every year, that you are creating bunch of akusalas, bunch of āsavas. Most of those āsavas are bhava-āsava and avijja-āsava, those anger-based āsavas. So then, do you think you can say that you have yoniso manasikara? No, you cannot say, because you are not going to the roots of that anger. You are not thinking that this anger is not fair. I have to deconstruct the origin of this anger by bringing yoniso manasikara into that particular phenomenon. I have to heal myself first. because I know that this happened now. There's no reason for me to keep that up continuously. Then you have Yonisho Manasika. Now there are people who do all the uh, subjective solutions, subjective things to their past events and present events, and then coming to learn Sammāsati. Is this going to work for them? Do you think those people will make progress in their spiritual journey? Now they will leave out all the angers, frustrations back home, come to the temple and things, trying to practice sati. But they never bring Yoniso Manasikara in their life. Do you think it is going to progress them? It won't give them any, unless there is a certain happiness because of the change of the place. We have it, right? Whenever you go to a beautiful natural place, you feel calm and comfortable. But other than that, you are not mentally healing from that problem, because you are not bringing Yoniso Manasikara in your daily life. Without Yoniso Manasikara, don't even think about, not Sammasati, don't even think about Sammaditi. It's not going to work. Okay, now I'm highlighting the importance of Yoniso Manasikara. This is what we are learning here. Asutava means someone who has not heard the proper Dhamma, and someone, Putujjano means someone who is unenlightened. Ariyanam adassavi, Ariya Dhammassa akovido, Ariya Dhamme avinito. Let's learn these arguments. Ariyanam adassavi. Adassavi means not being able to see. Who are the people that this person is not able to see? Ariyan, someone who has not been able to see the enlightened people. Ariyan. At the same time, Ariya Dhammassa akovido. Now, whatever the teachings that these Aryas, enlightened people, are talking about, this particular person has not been skilled in that Dhamma, for whatever the reason. Not even that. Ariya Dhamme avinito. Avinito means this same person has not been able to be disciplined in that Dhamma. That means you need the both, learning, understanding, at the same time, discipline. That means if you really want to practice Dhamma, you need some level of discipline. Right? Without the discipline, you are not able to practice the Dhamma. Otherwise, this is going to be just a mere knowledge. Now, a lot of people sometimes make some statements. Buddhism is for intelligentsia. Have you heard that? Have you seen this somewhere? Buddhism is for intelligentsia. I mean, some people actually make some stickers. Buddhism is not for intelligentsia. Buddha's teachings are for people who want to become wise and for those who are already wise. It's not for the knowledgeable people. If it is for the knowledgeable people, everybody then will become Sotapannas. Those so-called educated people. It won't happen. Buddhism is for the wise people, or anybody who wants to become wise, who has the potential of become wise people. So here, what is given is that if you really want to practice this first method has Yoniso Manasikara, you must have a certain ability in learning the Dhamma with some understanding, at the same time having some good discipline to behave according to that Dhamma. Discipline is very important too. That is why we always say Sila is very important in this practice. Then, Sappurisanang adassavi, Sappurisa Dhammassa akovido, same words, Sappurisa Dhamme avinito. Sappurisanang adassavi, Sappurisa. Now, first, it is telling us that if you are someone who doesn't know Aryas, enlightened people, if you are someone who does not have any discipline toward the Aryas, enlightened people, primarily yourself and primarily toward them. Now it is talking about if you are also someone who has here, Sappurisana Adassav, someone who cannot see the Sappurisas. At the same time, if you are someone, Sappurisa Dhammasakoido, who has no ability in understanding the Sappurisas Dhamma. Sappurisa means again another word for the Aryas, enlightened people, or even someone who has potential to become Arya, Sappurisa. And then Sappurisa Dhamme Avinito, same idea. That means you have no discipline in the Sappurisas Dhamma. Now, who is a Sappurisa Dhamma, folks? Sappurisa? Are you a Sappurisa? Now, you know you are not an Arya. You can just leave it out. I mean, if you are not an Arya, but what is Sappurisa? Who is a Sappurisa? Here, this Pali word, look at it. Sappurisana. You can see, Ida Bhikkhave Asutava Putujjano Aryana Dasavi. Now, Arya means enlightened people. Arya Dhamma Sapurido, Arya Dhamme Avinito. That is about Arya. Now, here, Sappurisana Dasavi, Sappurisa Dhamma Sapurido, Sappurisa Dhamma. So, these Sappurisa. Sappurisa means, are you Sappurisa? Who is a Purisa in Pali? Purisa means a man, male man. Then Sappurisa means, we can say, a good human being. Who is a good human being in Buddhism? I want to ask that from you. Who is a good human according to the Buddha's teachings? Is it somebody who keeps 5 precepts, or is it something more than the 5 precepts? Sappurisa. According to the Buddha's teachings, someone who practices the 5 precepts, I mean, someone who keeps the 5 precepts is called as a good human being. But the Buddha says that if you want to practice my Dhamma, you need to be it is not enough you to be a good person. You have to be a Sappurisa. Then you have to be a Arya. Good human being, Sappurisa, Arya. Now you might be thinking, then Sappurisa might be a better person than just be a good person, right? Who is a Sappurisa? There are many suttas in the teachings. One sutta is Sevitabba Sutta. Majjhima Nikaya's, I think, if I'm correct. Let's see that. Sevitabba Sutta. It's going to be Majjhima Nikaya 114 sutta. You can take a look later. Now, in this sutta, Buddha says, this is the understanding too, if you are someone who is always thinking good thoughts, right? Wholesome thought, at least you are someone who is trying to be so. If you are someone who is always trying to speak good words, skillful words, no musavada, no parusavacha, no pisunavacha, no sampappala. If you are someone who is always trying to take care of other beings, no panadipada, always trying to protect what other people have, possessions, no adidada. If you are someone who's always trying to behave well, no kamesumechachara, this kind of person is called as a Sappurisa. Now you can just relate to yourself whether you are a Sappurisa or the opposite. Huh? You want to be a Sappurisa, you are always thinking good thoughts, skillful thoughts. That means thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of protecting other people, and then right view. These are the main 3 skillful thoughts. Then, if you want to, along the definition, the Buddha says about your speech, about your actions. That is a Sappurisa. Now, here in this particular section, the Buddha says, if there is somebody who does not see the Aryas, who does not have an ability about what Aryas talk about, who has no discipline about Aryas. Also, if the same person has the same person cannot see the Sappurisas, has no ability about what the Sappurisas talk about, has no discipline about the Sappurisa. Now let's keep looking at the text here. Now you will understand. Now you understand the person. At the same time, now when somebody has that kind of nature, without understanding Ariyas this way, without understanding Sappurisa this way, then what will happen to that person is Manasikaraniye dhamme nappajana. Now, when you don't understand Ariyas, when you don't understand Sappurisa, you also don't understand what to think about, what to pay attention to. Interesting, right? You have no idea what to think about, where I am going to pay my attention to. So you pay attention to all the unnecessary things. Right? Now here the Buddha reminds us, how does someone create ayoniso manasikara, unwise attention? Why did the Buddha want to tell this way? It is because if someone cannot see what that person is supposed to see, then that person cannot practice the first method. That means if you really want to practice this first method, you need to be able to see what you call akusala at the time, at that particular time. In order for you to see, you should be able to know the Ariyas. You should be able to see the Arya. You should be able to have discipline about Arya. You should be able to see the Sappurisas. You should be able to have some knowledge about the Sappurisa. You should be able to have some respect, discipline about the Sappurisa. But if you don't have any of those, then you are definitely going to think about paying attention to unnecessary things. Now let's take a look at these unnecessary things over here. Manasikaraniye dhamme nappa. Now, that person cannot understand where to pay his attention to, her attention. Amanasikaraniye dhamme nappajana. Now, that person doesn't also know what he or she should not need to pay attention. So, manasikaraniye dhamme appajanatu, amanasikaraniye dhamme appajanatu. Ye dhamma na manasikaraneya, te dhamma manasikaroti, ye dhamma manasikaraniya, te dhamme na manasikaroti. Dhamma folks, because the text is a little longer, so I'm going to teach you the very important things of the text, rather than always going by the literal text. You will understand what to pay attention to here. All right. Now, what the Buddha says here is that when someone doesn't know where to bring out or what kind of things that he or she has to pay attention to, this person will definitely think about give attention to what you call Āsavas. Right? This is what the Buddha says here. Katamecha bhikkave dhammana manasikaraniya ye dhamma manasikarot. Now the Buddha asked from the monks, what are the dhammas, mental states that somebody who is going to pay attention to, which he or she should not pay attention to, give attention to. Yassa bhikkave dhamme manasikaroto anuppanno va kāmāsavu uppajja. Uppanno va kāmāsavu pavatta. Anuppanno va bhavasavu uppajjati. Uppanno va bhavasavu pavatta. Anuppanno va avijjasavu uppajjati. Uppanno va avijjasavu pavatta. Ime dhamma na manasikaraniya ye dhamma manasikaraniya. Very interesting. Now, the Buddha teaches us a method to know how to understand what are the places that we should not pay our attention to. Right? So he particularly tells us these are the things that we should not pay attention to. Dhamme manasikaroto anuppanno va kāmāsavu uppajjati uppanno va kāmāsavu. Now, whenever you are paying attention to a certain object, certain situation, certain event, your unarisen kāmāsava is going to arise. You have no kāmāsava, but kāmāsava is going to come. Right? And whatever the Āsavas you already have, because we already have some Āsava sensuality, is going to go up. So whenever, now this is something that you can do your own self-checking. That means whenever you are looking, whenever you are thinking about a particular scenario, situation, activity, event, you feel that some unnecessary sensuality that you don't have is going to come up. At the same time, your existing sensuality, you are a moderate, you may be a moderate person about your sensuality, but you feel that there is some Āsava, there's some sensuality that is going to come up. Now here, Āsava means, once again, the greedy level of your kama. Don't misunderstand, right? So Buddha is telling people that you can have some healthy kamas, but not with greed. Not with greed. If you bring greed, either you are going to control, maybe you are going to mess up, maybe you are going to misbehave, like what you know in the 5 precepts. How did the Buddha say? Kamesu miccācara. The Buddha didn't say no karma. He said you have to behave well in your karmas. Behave well. Don't misbehave. If it is so, people will misbehave only when they have practiced greed, when they practice karma, when they consume their karmas. If they bring greed to those karmas, then they are going to practice kamesu miccācara. Now here, you can understand, you can do a self-checking in a way that whenever you think about a certain object, certain person, certain event, you feel that unarisen karmas that I didn't have is going to come up. You feel very uneasy. At the same time, your existing karmas are going to grow up. This is something you understand, that I should not pay attention to this particular object. Also other two. Whenever you pay attention to a certain thing, you feel Bhavāsava will come up. Also, your existing Bhavāsava will go up. Also, your Avijja Āsava that you didn't have that much is going to come up. And then the existing Avijja Āsava is going to go up. Now the Buddha says, you have to understand that whatever the objects you were trying to think are not good to think about, are not going to tolerate, because they are giving you lots of Āsavas, right? Is it something very easy to understand? Now, this is a way that Buddha asks us to think about what to think, what not to think. Now, here he said to us an easy way to find out what not to think. How we know that? How we know what not to think? Whenever we think about someone, whenever think about a certain situation, past event, present event, future event, a situation with somebody, you feel that unarisen karmas are going to come up and arisen karmas are going to go up. Unarisen bhavasava is going to come up and arisen bhavasava is going to go up. And unarisen avijjasava is going to come up and arisen bhavasava is going to go up. Then we should not give attention to that particular object, because if we're going to keep thinking about that object, we will have lots of kamasavas, bhavasavas, avijjasavas. It's pretty easy to understand. All right, let's go to the next section. Katamecha bhikkave dhamma manasakaraniya ye dhammana manasakaraniya. Now, what is this all about? This is where we're going to pay attention to, not the previous one. In the previous one, we are not supposed to pay attention to those objects because it gave us lots of karmas, lots of bhavas, lots of avijjas. Now, in this section, Buddha tells us these are the things which you have to give attention to your attention. Exactly. Yassa bhikkave dhamme manasi karoto anuppanno va kāmāsavo na uppajjati uppanno va kāmāsavo pahiyati. Anuppanno va bhavāsavo na uppajjati uppanno va bhavāsavo pahiyati. Anuppanno va avijjāsavo na uppajjati uppanno va avijjāsavo pahiyati. What does it mean? Whenever you think about someone, whenever you think about an object, whenever you think about any event that happens in your house or wherever, anything in your life, any phenomena, but you feel no karmas are going to come up. No unarisen karma is going to come up, or any karmasavas do you have going to go up. No bhavasavas is going to come up. No any bhavasavas you have going to go up. No avijjasavas going to go up. No unarisen's avijjasavas going to come up. Then you know this is something that I have to pay my attention to. All right. Any questions about these two sections before we go further? I want to make sure whether you understood that. All right. You can come forward and ask a question. Yes. Yeah, please come forward to the laptop. Yes. Yeah. What was the first question? Yeah. 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 Almost similar in explanations, but I will explain to you. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Good questions. The first one, according to him, is that it is necessary to have an example for these two sections, right? Now, the Buddha said that on account of any reason, if you come up with Kamasava, Bhavasava, Avijjasava, you have to stop paying attention to that particular object, event, scenario, right? But on account of any object, event, you feel that you're not coming up with Kamasava, no Bhavasava, no Avijjasava. You have to pay attention. You have to keep giving the attention. Now, I think you are asking an example, right? Now you know your own personal lives, that whenever you think about a certain thing, say for instance in your daily life, you may come up with lots of negativities about that particular event. You almost feel that your whole day is going to be ruined by that particular thought. Whenever you think about that particular, maybe a very bad experience, maybe somebody that you don't like to see, right? Whatever the situations you have. So the Buddha says, what if any event, object is giving you Lobha, dosa, moha primarily, so that you are coming up with karma and then thoughts. Now, say for instance, somebody might think, as you see in some of the Dhammapada story, you have done so many bad things to me in this life. Next life, I'm going to do something for you, right? And then that person is creating now. Because of a daily event, somebody else is trying to plan for the next life to do some harm to that particular person. That's a good example. So this person is thinking, I'm not going to do that because I'm coming up with bhavasava because of this particular event. So now the Buddha says, if you really want to give your attention to something, give attention to something that you feel you are not coming up with karma, you are not coming up with bhavasava, you're not coming up with avijjas. That is a simple example. Don't give attention to any object, any person, in that. Second is, he's asking a very good question. Now, Āsavas, kilesas, upakilesas, sanyojanas, nivaranas are all are kind of similar to many people, right? They are not similar. They are different. Let me tell you, if anybody of you want to really learn the akusalas in their origins, let's say the starting point of akusalas, that is asana. All right. Sanyojana, Nivarana, Kilesa, Upakkilesa, they are subordinate process stages of the akusalas. When you say Kilesa, defile, when you say Upakkilesa, impurities, when you say Sanyojana, fetters, they are process stage of Āsavas. So Āsavas are the rudimentary, what do you call the root level. All right. So I have to emphasize that Āsavas are the rudimentary level of your akusala. So if that is why the Buddha said, if you give attention to them, you will create akusala, upakkilesa, sangyojana, nivarana, all the rest of the things. So if you do something at this point, you are good. You have yoniso manasikara. That means if you think you cannot give attention to these things, then you are doing that with the support of yoniso manasikara. You will have no problem with the rest. Make sense? All right, so let's learn the rest and then you will learn more. We are coming to a very interesting place. Tassa amanasikaraniyang dhammanang manasikara manasikaraniyang dhammana amanasikara. Anupanna cheva asava uppajjanti. Uppanna cha asava pavat. Now the Buddha says, when somebody is not giving the due attention, proper attention to the Āsavas, how the Āsavas are coming up, how the Āsavas are going up, then what happens is that that person is going to have 16 doubts because of this ignorance of the things that he has to or she has to pay attention. If you don't understand these two, that means you are definitely coming up with 16 doubts. You will see the 16 doubts in the notes, but I will show you the text first. You can see the blue line here. This is the past, doubts based on the past. The yellow one is doubts based on the future, and the pink one is the doubts based on the present time. So what we know is that, as you can see in the notes, let me go to the notes here. You can see them here. 16 doubts. 5 for the past, 5 for the future, 6 for the present moment. Was I in the past? Was I not in the past? What was I in the past? How was I in the past? Having been what was I in the past? Interesting questions, right? First, let's understand this one. This in Pali we say, was I in the past? Let's go to the Pali one too. Ahosing nuko aham atita madhana. That means, was I in the past? That means there is someone who is going to think about, who was I in the past? How many of you are very much into that thing? Do you really want to find out who were you in the past? The palmistry. Tell me, who was I in the past? You were a Brahmin, you were a good Brahmin. Really? I mean, excessive concerns about the past life. This is one problem as a doubt someone is going to go through because of the ayoniso manasikara. Because that person does not give attention to the proper thing. Second is, was I in the past? Was I not in the past? But definitely, we were in the past. Let me show you again here. I'm not going to read the whole Pali thing here. It takes time, so you can just cross-check. I'm going to show you the English one. Was I not in the past? What was I in the past? Now you are trying to look at your probably social status. If you were a human, you want to check what kind of a human being was I. Maybe if you were born in India, you want to check. You were a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Shudra, Vaishya, different social classes, check those things at that time. So that kind of an interest. Then the fourth one is, as you can see here, what was I in the past? Then how was I in the past? Mostly your physiognomy. What do you mean by physiognomy? Your physical characteristic. Was I a man or a lady or maybe somebody like that? Maybe how was my body like? That kind of interest about the past life. We call it here it to be how was I in the past? Then having been what was I in the past? So this is interesting actually. Let's say that that person gets to know that I was a Brahmin, then going beyond knowing that I was a Brahmin, want to check how did I become a Brahmin? Maybe going to the previous life. Not just the previous life before the previous life. Going to check about, going to go to the 2 lives before, from now. So the Buddha says this is something someone is going to pay attention to when that person has no yoniso manasikara, right? Now this is about the past life. Let's go to the future life. Shall I be in the future? Shall I not be in the future? Okay, how do we understand these two? Now, if you are someone who is always worrying about the future life, shall I be in the future? I mean, who will I be in the future? Whether you are not going to be in the future, whether you are not going to be in the future, those questions. What shall I be in the future? According to the social status, you are looking at what kind of a person in that particular society that I will be. How shall I be in the future? And the 9th question is about your physical characteristics. Will I be a man or woman or LGBTQ or whoever? I mean, all that. You are concerned about your future life, future body. This is going to be the what you call the 4th question about the future. And then having been what shall I be in the future? Which means, suppose that I'm going to be a certain person in the future life, how did I become so? This question. Okay. So these are the questions for the future. 5 questions. Then questions about the present moment. Am I not? Do I exist? Do I not exist? What am I? What is my social status? How am I? What is my physiognomy? And then where has this been come from? This means where did I come from? Especially this is going back to the past. Where is it bound? That means where am I going? Actually, these 2 questions are questions that you create now because of the past, because of the future. All right, the Buddha says these questions are questions, I would say doubts that come to somebody when that person does not pay attention to what he or she is supposed to give attention. When someone is giving attention to Kāma-āsavas, Bhava-āsavas, Avijja-āsavas, then these 16 doubts are coming up. Now let's take an example. How is it going to work? Now let's take Kāma-āsavas. Now suppose someone has Kāma-āsavas, unnecessary Kāma-āsavas, because of not having yoniso manasikara. Then how does that person is making these doubts? Give me think about a simple example. Now there is someone who is extremely beautiful, handsome. Now this person is looking at the future life in the same way, right? A very simple example. Will I be like this in the future? But the Buddha said, yes, you have been so because you may have done a good karma. The Buddha said in the Chula Kamma Vibhanga Sutta, people are going to be beautiful, handsome, pretty, because that person has not had a lot of jealousy in the past life. That person had not have a lot of anger in the past life. That is why people become beautiful, pretty, handsome. If you think you are an ugly person, don't take this example so heavily. Yeah? The Buddha says that people become beautiful, handsome, ugly because in past lives, such people have not brought lots of anger, not that much jealousy. If you are not jealous, if you are not angry, you will become beautiful in this life and in the next lives. Right? But we call it in a mild way, beauty in the, what do you call? Beauty in the way how the person is looking at. But if we look at any karmic beauty that you have, an extreme beauty that not somebody can have, that is coming out of a past karma. But let's say this particular person is thinking, will I be beautiful in my next life? It is because of that person has come up with the karma server. Now that person is struggling because of karma server, now going to doubt about the future. Right? Interesting. So in the same way, you can think about the rest of the examples. Huh? All right. Then what happens is that, let's go to the text again. Okay, these are the 16 doubts. I'm not going to say one by one because you know what they are. Now let's go to the, okay, here is where we're going to stop today, because we have the Dasana part 2 for the next week. All right. Tassa evaṁ ayoniso manasikaroto channang dittinang anyatara ditti uppati. Very interesting. Huh? This is the really dangerous part. The dangerous part is not having the 16 doubts. The dangerous part is coming up with one of the 6 views. What are those views? You can see the what do you call the English notes that I make here. I have self. That means eternalism. How do we know in Pali? In Pali, you can see it here. Attime, sorry, Attime attati va assa sacchato tetato ditti uppajjati. Truthfully, and then what you call, here we can see it here. True and established view. A true and established view will arise in our mind by thinking that I am eternal. This is one of the views that might come to you. Eternalism. How do we understand eternalism in a simple way? I am somebody who will be the same person in the next life, who was the same person in the past life. Can you say that you were the same person in your past life? Probably, let's say there is somebody called Michael. Michael is here now. If Michael is to think, I was the same Michael in my past life, and I will be the same Michael in the future, is it Buddhist friendly? According to Buddhism, there is no previous Michael, there is no future Michael. Present Michael is going through a lot of changes, anicca. It's going to be a different Michael. It was a different Michael before. The future Michael is different. Even the Michael now is going to be changed. If we take one person out of here, those who came for the Sutta discussion, I will look at the time. 8:30. Came here at 8:30. Now, if there is a Michael who is in the audience at 8:30 p.m., that's not the Michael who is now. And not that Michael is going to be by 10 p.m. The Buddha says, every moment, this Michael is going to change. In a very higher teaching, I would say, we are dying every moment. Have you heard that? Not that physical death in a coffin. The Buddha says, we die every moment. We call it kanika marana, momentary death. That is where you understand I am aging, I have white hair, my teeth are broken, and my skin is getting wrinkled. How are these things happening? It is because we are dying every moment. Don't worry about it. This is life. This is life. This life is precious. You don't have to worry about it. Rather accepting the life and then to move ahead. Move with this life. So what we need to understand is eternalism. If you think that no, that was me, this is I am, this is me in the future. That is the first wrong view. Nobody can say I'm going to be like this in the future life, and I was like. They were changing me, changing person, changing karmas. You cannot say that same person existed before and then after. Second, I'm going to be a little short on my analysis today, but you can see the notes. If not, I have no self. That means this is my only life. I'm not going to be reborn next. And there are religions about it, right? I'm not going to name them. This is your only life. There is no life after. That is anti-Buddhist. We believe that because of karmas, we are going to create vipakas. We were in the past changeably, and we're going to be in the future changeably, right? If you take the same example, the same Michael, if Michael did some bad karmas now, the different Michael, the changing Michael is going to experience changing karmas in the future life. The funny thing is that it is not the same Michael who did the original karmas. That Michael is always getting changed, uniksha. So, if anybody thinks that this is my only life, unless you are an arahant, that person is creating what you call annihilation. Here, what you call annihilation. I have no self. It is a wrong view. Third wrong view is I perceive self through self. Example, taking the 5 aggregates from the aggregate of perception, sanya, by calling other aggregates as self. Okay, let me ask you a simple question. How many aggregates do we have according to Buddhism? We have 5 aggregates. We call them as panchakanda, right? We are panchakandas. There's no XYZ people. Huh? There is no Chan, there is no Michael, there is no so and so, but panchakandas. But just because of that, can we call everybody, hello panchakandas, how are you doing? Can we talk like that? No, we are very respectful beings. Huh? We don't call that. Although we know that we are panchakandas, but we do understand we have to go by the convention. So the Buddha said, everybody has a panchakanda. Every being has a panchakanda. What is panchakanda? Rupa, Vedana, based on the sanya, perception. He or she thinks that here I am now, this is me. The rest is the rest, what you call Rupa, Vedana, Sankhara, Vinyana. Looking at the rest of the aggregates by based on the sanya, thinking that I have, that person thinks that I am only the sanya kanda. To the sanya kanda, the rest of the khandas are connected. That is the third wrong view. How can I make it a little simpler? Let's say now at the moment we know that we are panchakanda, isn't it? We have 5 aggregates. But this person who is having this wrong view is thinking, my sanya kanda, aggregate of perception, is higher than the rest of the 4. And then the rest of the 4 are attached to my sanya kanda. So true sanya kanda, I exist, the rest are supporting, which is a wrong view because all these 5 are interconnected. This is what we call I perceive self through self. Self here alludes to sanyata. The fourth one, I perceive non-self through self. What does it mean? The rest are not part of me. That means no rupa, no vedana, no sankhara, no vinyana. Only sanya exists. So I think, that person think, I think that only sanya kanda. Sanya is mine. The rest are not mine. That is why it is translated to be here as I perceive non-self, true self. For this person, non-self only relates to the rupa, vedana, sankhara, and vinyana. But this person thinks that self relates to only the perception. What do you call? Sanyakanda. Sanyakanda only Sanya Kanda is the only thing that I call as myself. The rest is not self. They are different from. Now, the fifth view is I perceive self through non-self. What does it mean? Same idea as I said earlier. I call my sanya is myself. The rest are not myself. Then from Rupakanda, Vedanakanda, Sankarakanda, Vijnanakanda, I look at myself. So thinking that Rupa, Vedana, Sankara, Vijnana are non-self and only Sanya is self. Actually, it is the same idea like in the four, but in the fourth one, wrong view, the person looks from the Sanya towards the rest of the aggregates. But in the fifth one, the same person differently looks at the same Sanya Kanda from the rest of the Kandas, aggregates. The last one is very interesting. Self of mind is constant, everlasting, eternal. Now, this is something that a lot of people might have when they do karma, good karma, bad karma. They're thinking, I will experience everything. But according to Buddhism, you cannot say that you are going to experience. You will experience, but a different of you is going to experience. Now, let's go back to our text. I have given some numbers here in my one. Attime attativa assa satchato tetato ditti uppajjati, which means eternalism. I have self. Nattime attativa assa satchato tetato ditti, that means there's no self, annihilationism. Third one. Attanava attanam sanja. See here, sanja nami. That means sanya kanda. Iva assa satchato tetato ditti. This means that this person is thinking, the one who is taking the third wrong view, that I have myself, which I call as my sanya kanda, and I see the rest of the kandas, rupa, vedana, sankara, vijnana, but I only call myself to be mainly my sanya kanda. The fourth one, attanava anattan sanjanamiti va as satchato tetato. This means the person is thinking only sanya kanda exists, the rest of the four kandas are not existing. The fifth one, anattanava attanam sanjanamiti va as satchato tetato ditti uppajjati. Atava panassa evam ditti. This means same idea, same wrong view like in the fourth one, but the person is taking the backward, being not self regarding the four aggregates, looking at the self aggregate called sun. Sixth one, yomi ayang atta vadu vadeyo tatra kalyana papakan kammanam vipakam patisam. If this sixth wrong view comes to somebody, when that person thinks there is a talking, what do you call here? You can see here. As you can see, yeah, there's a speaking, talking person now who is going to the next life, who is doing good and bad karmas, patisangvedi. Soko paname ayang atta nicho du sassato aviparinamadam. Sassati samanam tateva tase. Now the Buddha says, the sixth wrong view arises in someone who thinks that there is someone who is doing good karma, bad karma, and then going to the next life. Actually, a lot of people have this wrong idea when they do good karmas. An example? For the last couple of many years, 10, 20 years, I have been a good devotee in the temple, and then I have been doing lots of good karmas. Now next life is same good things will go to the next life. That means there's a serious ignorance about the, what do you call, anicca nature of your life. That means it is going to be another kind of eternal thought. The Buddha said, please do good karmas, but do not attach to your good karmas and do not create a self out of your good karmas. I think it's a very, very clear thing that we can see in the Buddhist communities. When people are more engaged in the good karmas, they come to think that I have been doing a lot of good karmas, so my next life is so and so forth, right? And they are bringing up a certain self-based thought. This is the sixth wrong view. I think a lot of people fall into this sixth wrong view. This arises to someone when that person is not giving attention to the opposite of the karma asava, bhavasava. Let's see the rest, the last statement here. All right. Now, when someone is thinking, coming up with any of these six wrong views, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, then what is happening? Idang gucchati bhikkave ditthigatan ditthighanang ditthikantharang ditthivisukan ditti vippanditang ditti samyojana. Ditti samyojana samyukto bhikkave asutava putujjano na parimucchati. When someone has one of these six views, that person is having lots of wrong views in their mind, in their life. Because of the wrong views, what is going to happen to that person is that asutava, that person who has no particular listening to Dhamma, who is an unenlightened person, na parimucchati, never going to release from jatiya, birth, jaraya, decay, marana, maranena, death, sokehi, means grief, paridevehi, lamentation, dukkhehi means physical pain, domanase means mental pain, upayase, despair, na parimucchati, dukkasmati. Then the Buddha says, when someone is taking one of these six views because of not practicing yoniso manasikara, that person will never release from the dukkha. That means yoniso manasikara is the first practice before any practice in the Dhamma. All right, any questions? Because we're going to study the good part, yoniso manasikara part, next Monday. Yes. And I'll be in person next Monday with you. We're going to be studying yoniso manasikara part. I mean, the good part, what to pay attention to. Now, all this is happening when we are paying attention to the things that we are not supposed to pay attention. All right, any questions about today? I know it's a bit of technical words. Don't be discouraged, because this is the upstream journey, right? Patisotagami journey. So if you have any questions, please send me or ask me. All right, any questions? Anything that was not clear to you today? We will take one more minute, otherwise we're going to transfer the good comments. Now, what's something very good that you learned today? You may be creating akusalas because you have paid attention to unnecessary things. So paying attention to the proper thing is the most important, probably the starting point of your Dhamma practice. That's why you perhaps know a lot of Dhamma things. You have heard mindfulness, you have heard Sila, you have heard Dharana, but you never feel that you are on the track. You don't feel you are on the track. You are moving on your spiritual journey. You might feel you are doing something according to your traditions, according to what other people do, people you see and know. But you don't feel that you are on the track. Why is it? This issue, yoniso manasikara. If you are on that track, you are easily going to catch up with the sammaditi and the rest. All right. I think there are no questions according to what I can feel. But if you have a question, do not just keep in your mind. You have to always ask. I'm happy when you ask questions. I mean, right questions. And then we can answer, then we can dispel any misunderstanding about the Dhamma, right? So if you cannot ask the questions in public, you can send me a message. I'm always happy to answer whenever time permits. All right, so let's then transfer good karmas. May all the good karmas which we have been accumulated today be transferred to all the departed relatives. We call them Jnati Petas. May departed relatives be able to receive all these good karmas if they were reborn in a place of unhappiness, pain. May they be able to release from that painful places. If they were already reborn in places of happiness, Kama Sugati, may they be able to improve those lives and finally attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idam me jati nang huntu sukita huntu jatayo. Idam me jati nang huntu sukita huntu jatayo. Idam me jati nang huntu sukita huntu jatayo. May Deva, Naga, Mahindika share all these good karmas. May they be well and happy. May they protect and bless all of you for good health, quality of life, prosperity. In particular, your Dhammaja. May Deva, Naga, Mahindika also finally be well and happy and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ettavata cha ammehi samgatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabbasang patti sindhya. Ettavata cha ammehi samgatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabbasang patti sindhya. Ettavata cha ammehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabbasang patti sindhya. Akasattha cha bhummanta devanaga mahindika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu tasasanam. Akasattha cha bhummanta devanaga mahindika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu desanam. Akasattha cha bhummanta devanaga mahindika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu mang paranti chirang rakhantu mang sadamati. Also, may we be in the company of Kalyana Mittas. When we are with the Kalyana Mittas, we can learn the true Dhamma and we can deepen, maintain our Dhamma practice. May we be not in the company of the Papa Mittas. So, thinking thus, we're going to make the wish. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamu satan samagamu yavanimbana pantiya. Finally, may all the good karmas which we've been accumulating today be supportive and helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana silissa nichang bandha prachayino chattaru dhamma vadhanti ayuvannu sukham balan ayurarugya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samiyo. Sadhu. With that blessings, our Sutta discussion for today is over. And I'm wishing you a good night and seeing all of you next week. Good night, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Bhante. On behalf of Brother Leslie and Vihara Management Committee, thank you for your support, effort, and making this long distance study possible to make our Dharma study easier and beneficial to all of us. Thank you. And next week, brother and sister, Bhante will be talking on another second part that is more important on the practice, which is Yoniso Manasikara, and some of the 7 elements on the practices. And see you then, and wish you happy week and good night.
Thank you, brother. Good night.